back to my channel. If you're new to my channel, thanks for being here. If you want to see future videos like this, be sure and hit like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you'll be notified when I have another video. Hope you enjoy my New Year's gnome. Thanks for watching. Okay guys, these are all the supplies that you're going to need for this. If you don't see them listed in the description below, you can always see them on my website at www.pattyjgood.com. Okay, first of all, we're going to start off by making the hat. I cut this out with my Cricut. I'm going to give you the SVG file below. If you have a Cricut, if you don't, you can still cut these out with scissors. Mark that at 1/2 inch. Go ahead and glue it. And then we're going to overlap that. We're only going to overlap that 1/2 inch. So make sure that you don't do it more than that or it will not fit on that noodle. Just glue it in there real good and then just make sure it fits before you go forward. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach a piece of trim around the bottom. And this is what's going to hold the brim on. So just go all the way around the edge. This is a 1/4 inch piece of trim. And you're just going to glue it all the way around the bottom. And that's what's going to keep that brim from falling off. And cut off any excess and then just finish gluing that down. Okay, then we're going to take the brim and we are just going to run it over the top of that. And you could use cardboard to make this base if you want to. I just had the craft foam. I didn't use the other craft foam as the base because it was a little bit thinner. Okay, once you get that put in there, then we're going to go ahead and attach the top. The easiest way to do that is just to go ahead and add the glue to the circle itself. And then glue it on, and then you can come back in and glue any areas that didn't get glued in good. Just make sure it's glued in there good before you go on to put the outside part on. Then we're just taking some glitter foam and we're going to go take one brim over the top and glue that in. Just go all the way around. Make sure you get it glued in good. Don't worry so much about the edges because we are going to cover those up here in a little bit. Okay, now you're going to turn it over and add the other one, and you're going to have to probably stretch that open a little bit to get it around there. But just get it flush with that and then go ahead and glue that down. Okay, then we're going to go ahead and put the little top part on, the little circle part. Just glue it down. And then the part that I just wrapped around there, you are going to have to trim it a little bit because that did start building up once you add all those layers. So when you get it put around there, you're just going to mark it with a pen. And then you can just, if you have a paper cutter, just cut it off. Just mark where it is. And you're going to cut that much off. I'm just going to take it over to my paper cutter and cut it off. Then I'm just going to wrap it around. And this is a real sturdy hat when you get done putting it all together. Just take a little bit of time working on the hat because it is the main focal point of this gnome. Okay, then we're going to come back around and we are going to attach some glue around the bottom part. We're just covering up all the black with the glitter foam so that it's real consistent all the way around. And you don't have to use a lot of glue on craft foam. It stays together pretty good. Then this part here, we're going to take it and put it around the 3 layers of the brim just to cover up that edge. Just put a little bit of glue. Do not put a lot of glue. Just kind of rub a little bit of glue on there and then go all the way around it. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and do his legs. We're going to take the dowel sticks and we're going to mark them, 2 of them at 5.5 inches, and we're just going to cut those off with our miter cutter or whatever kind of cutter you want to use. And I'm going to take them and I'm going to sharpen them. Then I'm going to take them and put them into the wine corks with the blunt end on the bottom. Then I'm going to take my shoes and I'm going to add a couple little little nuts to them. Just push them in there and then glue the last one so it doesn't jiggle around in there. And then do the same thing for the other one. And I'm using 7/16 inch nuts. It'll give it a lot of weight in there for you. Then I'm going to go ahead and put some glue down in the heel, and I'm going to attach my corks, but I'm going to glue my 2 corks together first, and then I'm going to stick them down in there. Then I'm going to take some fabric, some regular fleece like I'm using out of the legs. I'm just stuffing it in there to kind of fill that shoe up so it doesn't just sink down. And just tie your shoes off. And then do the same thing for the other one. Glue your cork in, glue your corks together, and make sure that your shoes are standing straight up too. Just check them, and then go ahead and put some fabric inside there too, and then tie those up. And you can use any kind of fabric you want in there. I just had fleece. Then we're going to do the legs. I'm just going to hem down the long side and one of the short sides on each one of these. And you don't have to use fleece. You can use any black fabric that you want. Then I'm just going to wrap it around the shoe above the laces so I can make sure I get the seam right in the back. And then I'm going to glue it down. So make sure it's straight and that your seam is in the back. So your seam ends in the back. And then I'm just going to go ahead and glue that down. And then I went back in afterwards and put a little spot glue on both sides of the shoe. I didn't do it here, but I did it later. So you might want to go ahead and do that at this point now. It'll keep it from rising up. And then go ahead and glue straight down the back. Put your finger in there and just kind of press it out. And then do the same thing with the other shoe. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and put a little bit of glue right around the top of it. And then I'm going to cut slits in it to attach it to the noodle. And then I stopped and got better scissors because those were not cutting for me. Okay, now go ahead and attach them to your noodle. Just put them right in the center on both sides. And you don't have to worry about him being top heavy. Those weights that are in those shoes are going to hold him up well. And go ahead and add a little bit of glue into the hole and go ahead and attach that permanently. Then we're going to glue all those little tabs all the way around to the noodle just to hold them on real well. And you're not going to see these once you get his jacket on, so don't worry about it so much, what it looks like right now, because it is all going to get covered up. Okay, now we're going to take his jacket and we're going to wrap it around, and we're going to put the buttons to the side. So he's going to have like a side kind of buttons right there. So kind of line it up so that that ends up in the side. Glue that down. And then go ahead and add glue to the back. You don't have to add a lot of glue because it does tend to burn your noodle a little bit. But once you get all that glued together, the craft foam together, it'll stay together real well. Then I'm going to go ahead and cut his beard. I'm cutting it at 2 1/4 inches wide by 1 3/4 inches in length. I'm just going to draw a U around there so I can kind of trace it out with my scissors. And then cut behind the faux fur only, go all the way around, and then go ahead and clean all the excess fur off of your beard. Okay, now I'm going to go ahead and come back, and I'm pulling that craft foam away from the noodle as I'm adding glue to it instead of touching the hot glue to the noodle, or the hot glue gun to the noodle, because it will make an indent there. We're going to attach the beard just above the jacket. So the beard is going to actually be on the noodle just a little bit, just on the very, very top, because we want that hat to cover up that top edge. Then go ahead and glue it down. Then I'm going to take glue, I'm just going to put it in the top part of the hat, around the sides of the hat, and then I'm going to attach it onto his head. Make sure your seam is in the back. And then go ahead and spread out his beard at the very top, because we're going to glue that nose to the backing. So spread it open there, put the nose in, and then we're going to go ahead and we're going to attach this trim around his top part of his hat. I'm just going to go ahead and glue that all the way around. And I don't know if y'all noticed or not, but I had 2 of the same size shoes on my gnome. So you might want to check your shoes to make sure you have a right and a left before you get started. I didn't realize it until I was putting them into the noodle that I had 2 of the same side. Okay, now we're going to take, these are the little eyes that I used in some of my other ones, the little doll eyes. I just cut the back off and I'm using them for buttons. And I'm just going to attach them to his jacket. So you're just cutting the stud off the back of them if you're using these, or you can use a button, either way. Okay, next we're going to go ahead and make his hands. I'm rolling them up in a 1/2-inch ball, rolling them out into just a little, about an inch log, pressing the front forward and pinching the back of them, making like a little paddle with them. Then we're going to take 2 little balls about the size of a pea, roll them up in your hand, and we're going to go ahead and attach those as the thumbs. Then I'm taking this little brush to kind of just smooth it in there together. You can use your fingers on this if you want to. I'm just using a little brush to get it smoothed in. Just make sure it's smoothed on there real good before you bake them so they don't fall off. And make sure you put your thumbs on opposite sides of these hands. Okay, then I'm going to go ahead and take them. I'm going to cut 4 fingers. And I'm pretty much trying to make them as even as I can. The little one is a little bit smaller. And then all you're going to do is you're just going to take them and you're just going to roll them in your fingers just to kind of roll them out and to look like fingers. Okay, then I'm going to take a little end of the pin and I'm just going to poke it up in there to make it look like it has knuckles. And then push that up a little bit so it's a little bit thicker on the bottom so you can put your wire in there, and that's what's going to hold it onto our gnome. Then I'm taking a little party popper, wrapping his fingers around it because that's what he's going to be holding when I get done doing this. And do the same thing for the opposite side. And then you're going to bake them at 250 degrees for 15 minutes. Okay, now we're going to do the arms. We're going to take our, I took a dowel rod and I sharpened both ends of it. And then we're going to take our fabric and we're going to fold it over. And that's going to be on the 3 3¼ inch side. I'm folding it over. Then I'm going to take my hand and put it in there. And then I'm going to take a pipe cleaner and I'm going to try to fold it into thirds. So it has a little bit of meat on his hand, on his arms, and then just cut off the excess and we're going to glue that in. Just check before you roll him up just to make sure that your seam ends up in the back. So you need to find where your starting mark is, because I added a little bit extra fabric that could be rolled up a couple times. So figure out where it's going to end up at the end, and that's where you need to start. And I'm just going to add my pipe cleaner here. Then I'm going to cut my rods at 1½ inches. Cut them off with the miter cutter. And that's the part that's going to actually hold it into the gnome's body. Yeah, trim off any excess that's hanging over, and then we're going to glue that stick in there. And then just roll that up and just make sure that that seam is at the back. So glue that all the way around with the seam in the back. Then we're going to put a piece of trim on it, and that's just another piece of the glitter foam. Just going to wrap it around there. Mine's a little bit big, but I gave you the right measurement when I actually did your patterns. And then just glue that in. And that's just going to be the little cuff. And then you want to glue this part in real good. So squeeze it all the way up there to that stick. Glue that stick in real good so it doesn't come out. And then bend it over, and that's how we're going to attach it to our gnome. And I used an X-Acto knife to push into the gnome, but I did the other side, and you really don't have to. You could just push that on in there. You didn't even have to use that knife because the other side just went straight in there. And then do the exact same thing for the other arm. Go ahead and glue that one in. Glue it around the edge. And I probably came down a 1/2 inch from his hats where I put his arms. And then attach the second one. See how easy that one went in there? No knife. Okay, now we're going to go ahead and add a little pocket to him because we're going to put a pocket watch in his hand. So just glue that on 3 sides, leaving the front part open. And then I just got a watch charm and then a little chain. And that's what I'm going to make his pocket watch out of. That's the kind that has the little ends that hook into the little round circles that hook into the little ends to hold it all together. And then go ahead and stick it in his pocket. And then we're going to hang it over his hand. And then we're going to go ahead and glue the top part of the pocket just to make sure that that stays in there well. And then just hang it over his hand. I'm just gluing it to his hand. And in the other hand is where I'm going to put the party popper. And I'm just going to glue it right into his hand because his hand's curved up where it'll hold it. And just glue it in. Pretty easy. If you like the video, hit like. If you want to see future videos, hit subscribe. If you want to be notified when I have another video, hit the bell. Thanks for watching. I appreciate it.